Welcome to Covering Our Bases. Ladies and gentlemen, from Mets to Mariners, we break down baseball's biggest highlights and headlines with unique context from every MLB team's perspective. Now, as we cover our bases, we aim to educate, engage, and entertain all the average baseball fans who just don't have the time, really, to cover the other 29 teams around our league. Expect the fun storylines, patterns, predictions, and pageantry of Major League Baseball to be present at all times. He's NL Dan Harrow. I'm AL Warren Sprague. And Dan, we're not opening with a question today. We have just an abbreviated show for you all. It's actually compiled of several questions because the All-Star Ballot finalists have arrived at last. Dan, I know you're hyped. It's finally time for us to talk about who's going to headline the AL and NL teams in the Midsummer Classic. You gotta be stoked.
Yeah, dude, it's an exciting time of year. Like, we as fans get to vote for who gets to be a starter in the All-Star games. Pretty exciting. At this point, it's kind of a popularity contest to come down to the final round of voting. So at this point, Roran, we just need to decide between two players at each position in each league who we're going to send to the All-Star game. I have MLB on the other line right now. They're actually just waiting for us to submit our ballot, and then they'll go ahead and they'll make an official announcement. So
yes, thank you so much for having them on speaker in the background, making MLB as a whole listen to us, because we really do have our fingers on the pulse of all things Major League Baseball at this moment, at all times, every week, rolling. If you're tuning in looking for the ante rankings, stay tuned. Our recording for that is just nigh and will be released shortly. This one is just taking place before the results of these last 10 games that we've enjoyed. And so I'm stoked to jump right in. And Dan, I do have one caveat. Okay.
Yeah.
I've looked at the ballot and let's just say there's a position that I have a very big problem with as far as not seeing a specific player there. And I want to stand on my soapbox while MLB's on speakerphone back there so I can state my case, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah. It doesn't seem okay. Rob Manfred's pretty upset about it, but I say go for it, Warren. Just do it anyway. When we get to that point, I want you to scream it out.
Thank you. I can't wait. You're gonna agree with every single one of these? Is that true? I mean,
I don't know, man. I was thinking maybe we would divide this up. You know, the American League is your specialty. The National League is my specialty. We could talk about it a little, but I'm going to leave the American League picks to you, and I'm going to take the reign of the National League picks. And some of our work is done already for us, Warren, because two players have already been voted in. The two top vote getters in each league are automatically in. So in the National League, it's Bryce Harper. He is the starting first baseman for the National League team.
Wow.
And
injury and all.
Yeah, so that's one less decision that we need to make. For the American League, Aaron Judge has locked down one of the three outfield starting positions. So we'll still have to decide the other two.
That's good. That's a smart choice to lock in that guy for sure. Aaron Judge deserves it for how much power he's put on display in the first half of the season. So I am ready. The question is, where do we start? I mean, alphabetical order puts the American League first. National League, though, I mean, this is your channel, dude. I don't really want to take it from you unless you want to give it away.
You know, let's start at first base, Warren, because National League's already done. It's already Bryce Harper in for first base, so it's going to be the American League. So the pressure's on you here. Our two finalists for the American League first base All-Star position are Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
The trade fodder.
Yes, and Ryan Mountcastle from the Baltimore Orioles.
Ooh, and certainly a huge veteran piece of what makes Baltimore so impressive this year. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
Hey, taking a quick glance side by side and not wanting to take everybody's evening. What's fun for me here is that Vlad, well, he's going to maybe get traded, and Mountcastle's going to be at the forefront of a playoff push in Baltimore. But when you look at the numbers, you've got 13 home runs put up by Vlad, 50 RBI as well, 846 OPS. He's and a 298 average. He's trumping Mountcastle in every stat. So it's kind of difficult for me, despite we expect Vlad to potentially be in a different uniform in just a few short weeks. I think he's got to be the representative for the American League at first base as well. That's how I feel. Vlad Guerrero, you're in.
I think that's a good pick, dude. I can't argue much with you there. I love me some Ryan Mountcastle, I'll tell you what. But yeah, I think Vlad's really earned it this year.
And, as much as intangibles come to play in some of these scenarios, the numbers are just right there in front of me on a lot of these. And guys, I may not buck that trend too much. I mean, I did for all our preseason predictions, and you're seeing how that's working out. Maybe I'm just going to be real straightforward. We'll find out. But Dan, you don't get a say in your National League first baseman. Why don't I let you go first then for the one you do get to have a say in? Who if you'd like, should be the National League starter at second base? Let me slate your choices.
Please.
For San Diego, there's the amazing Wonder Boy with the bat in his hands who wins batting titles wherever he goes. Apparently, he's playing out of San Diego by way of Miami. It's Luis Ariz. And contending against him, and I believe, certainly at this stage, getting more attention in the All-Star ballot than he ever has, a young and gunner by the name of Ketel Marte playing out of Arizona. Yeah. He may even be the statistical favorite, and by a serious margin outside of batting average, Dan. I mean, Reyes trumps him in that at 314 to Ketel Marte is 290, but the power is all behind Marte with 17 homers. He's given 49 RBI to the Diamondbacks compared to the 22 for Ariz, and he's even trumping Luis Arias's impressive 739, OPS with his in the 800s. Go ahead, Dan. I don't know if the numbers speak volumes to you, or really the team trajectory might say more. I'm listening.
Yeah, that's the tough one here, right? Like, I hear you on just following the stat line, but the story of their impact on their team and so far this season goes a long way for me. Luis had a bit of a slow start, and Ketel kind of been the life of that Arizona team. And he does have Luis in most categories except for average. We know Luis is going to have batting average. You were talking about starting at second base for the All-Star game. So I got to say, Warren, despite a little bit of the stat difference, I feel like Ketel Marte has really earned the starting position at second base for the National League this year. So I'm going to have to pick Ketel Marte. Go against my boy, Luis. It's going to have to be Ketel Marte at the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Hey, he's been a fun story in an otherwise dry desert. So I do like the pick, and I will let you set the table for my second base options, if you don't mind.
Yeah, man, you got a tough one here, I think, in the American League. We start off with the veteran Houston Astros own Jose Altuve with a 304 average and an 822 OPS right now. It's pretty unreal. But going up against him, Warren, the world champions, the defending world champions, I should say, Texas Rangers, Marcus Semien with a 235 average and 683 OPS, quite a bit behind Altuve. But at this point, he does have 44 RBIs. That's just outpacing Altuve by about 7. So tough one here, Warren. I don't know what you're going to have to do. Two really talented players.
Oh, two really talented players. One shoe-in for Hall of Famer, the other perhaps the second baseman that is really, I don't know. I think everybody should want Marcus Semien on their team, which kind of belies where I might be leaning. Here's the thing, Dan. Let's look at the numbers. Like I just said, I don't buck trends when it comes to numbers. Who's got the winning overall set? I think it's pretty obvious that it's Jose Altuve, second baseman for the Houston Astros. But I have a motto in my house, Dan. I've done enough heralding and respecting the Astros. And the motto in my house is fire truck the Astros, okay? Except a different F word, okay? A different F word there. I'm going to go with Marcus Semien for that reason. I'm not needing to give any more flames to the Astros fire. I have plenty of reason to expect them to start really competing with Seattle for playoff contention here in the next couple of days, not weeks, like I'd hoped would be the case. So let that be what he gets to enjoy. Give me Marcus Semien at second base. Thank you, Dan.
And I like it. Good pick, dude. I'll take it. Good pick.
Yeah, the chip on my shoulder won't let me go Houston, baby. I'm sorry. Okay. For your third base National League options, sir, Manny Machado has done enough to earn vote consideration for the starting role
Yeah.
at third base. You have to
Wow.
wonder, where did that come from? We were trashing a lot of Machado as we were leading up to this point in the season, but he's quietly done what he needs to do. 734 OPS, 45 RBI, 10 home runs, 271 batting average. His opponent, though, is Alec Boehm, who has had a really great year for Philadelphia and been maybe a burgeoning piece, getting better and better and really holding his own in this contest. And honestly, the numbers really say he's neck and neck or better than Machado, which shouldn't shock us. He's been pretty good since the go. 844 OPS, 68 RBI, 10 home runs as well, matching Machado's important number, and a 300 average. So, who are you going to go with?
Yeah, for me, it's not even that tough of a decision, Warren. It's got to be Alec Boehm. He's blowing up this year. His 300 average is not leading the team, but it's a standout at third base in the National League. And
Mm-hmm.
Machado's numbers are good, but they're just not even close enough for me to really even have to think about it more than twice. We've seen Machado have better years. I've never seen Alec Boehm have a year quite this good, Warren. So it's got to be Alec Boehm.
It's just a fun story. Yeah, Alec Boehm looks good. He's all over every Philadelphia highlight. At some point, he does something to win the ball game. So I like your pick. I would have picked him too. Good job.
All right, man. Well, now it's your turn. Third base in the American League. Got a couple of good ones. We'll start off with another Baltimore Oriole, Jordan Westberg, at a
Yes.
281 average, 13 home runs, 48 ribbies, and an 837 OPS. A leader on that Baltimore team, Warren. But it's not going to be so easy because the other candidate vying for third base in the American League is the Cleveland Guardians and your very own J Ray. Jose
Yeah.
Ramirez with a 280 average, 23 home runs, 76 RBIs, and an 889 OPS. I think I know what you're going to do, Warren, but what do you think?
Jordan Westberg, dude. Is this an all-star rookie? Is that what we should expect to see
Would
on his
be.
card? That's amazing stuff. Not very many folks do that. Yeah, I mean, Ichiro did back in 2001 going into 2002, won the MVP, right? All-star
Right.
rookie, something like that. I hope I'm right.
Sure.
Gosh, I've been paying attention to my cards too much.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, then whatever. I make everything about Seattle, and that's the punchline you can take. The point is, there's nothing so inspiring as watching a rookie get nominated for an
Mhm.
all-star game up against such a stalwart within the league. 285 average, sure, 13 home runs, 48 RBI. We watch so many Baltimore highlights, and he's in so many of them, and he's just been so much fun to cheer for because we were expecting maybe a Jackson Holiday, or even after the start he had, Colton Cowser perhaps being one of the more memorable Baltimore Orioles, but no, it's Westberg all the way. That being said, Jose Ramirez for the All-Star game,
Yeah.
please. Yeah. I mean, how can
Excellent.
you go against him? He's such an important part of Cleveland and has been a humongous foundation for them for years. I respect his game. Part of me wishes we have traded for him in Seattle, of course, making it about me. I don't care if you're upset about that. I love Jose Ramirez. Can't disrespect him.
Nice. Love it, man. Excellent pick. You know what? I'm going to throw this next one at you, too, because this is one of the most exciting ones,
Yes.
positions, really, for the entire All Star game. But we should start with the American League with this one because we got two young guns over here. At
Mm.
shortstop, you probably already know, Warren, but it's another Baltimore Oriole. First up is Gunnar Henderson,
Oh.
288 average, 26 home runs, 58 RBIs, and a 988 OPS. Unreal numbers. But he's going up against a Kansas City Royals starting shortstop. You know who it is, Warren. I know
The
you know who it
wit.
is. The
What a
Wit
witty.
Jr. with a
Mhm.
312 average, 12 home runs, 54 RBIs, and an 897 OPS. I don't envy you, Warren. This is a tough one.
No, it is totally tough. You have every right to not be envious of me. Hey, both these players are incredible, arguable, and considerable American League MVP candidates at this stage in the season. So yes, this does make this an extremely difficult call. Bobby Witt Jr. has been inspiring, has been the focal point of a team that's looking to bounce back into the playoffs for the first time since, 2015? It's been a long time since the Royals looked this good, and while they have been having some missteps recently, I would have faith that they will continue to push forward into a franchise renaissance. Now, speaking of franchise renaissance, that is exactly what Baltimore has been doing since, Adley Rutschman and then Gunnar Henderson came into the fold. And I have personally noticed how much Gunnar Henderson's name has exploded onto headline after headline after headline. And actually, you have to think his stock might be even higher than the uber consistent Adley Rutschman's at this point. So I got to go with Gunnar Henderson. I think he has got to be the reason why Baltimore is as good as they are, as even more than how Bobby has been for Kansas City. That's how I feel.
Wow. I'm not sure I would have voted that way, but that's why you're the man with the pick in the American League, Warren. Well done.
Oh, I like disappointing rookies in this scenario too, I guess. So, I mean, what can I say? It's just Gunnar Anderson's come on so strong, so fast, so hard, and to see his stock jump up the way it has, you can't say he's not allowed to play. Sorry. Now, your choices out in the National League kind of seem familiar. I would think these two have been in the consideration at shortstop All-Star a couple of years in a row for National League. I'd be curious. But Mookie Betts, of course, out of Los Angeles, the kingpin Dodger in some people's minds, and the one that a lot of these stars like to rally around. With his 893 OPS, his 40 RBI, who has like a 28 RBI lead on the next name I will mention. He's contributed 10 home runs, 7 more than his, competition. 304 is his batting average, is Mookie Betts, and I'm always impressed by his play and his aura. His opponent also playing out of Philadelphia. This is a man who has a 328 average, only 3 home runs, 12 RBI, and an 830 OPS. He's played a considerable amount of the season, but not all of it because he's battled injuries too. So it's very interesting he finds his name up here. But how about TT himself, Trey Turner versus Mookie Betts? Fun matchup. Who do you got, Dan?
This is a tough one, especially because both have missed some playing time due to injury, as you mentioned. And despite the numbers, Warren, I'm going to have to go with Mookie Betts for this one because he was not supposed to start the year as a shortstop, something he's done obviously briefly in the past. But his play there has been excellent defensively. It's kind of invigorated him offensively in a way we haven't seen for a number of years. And it's given him a level of confidence in his game that is kind of infecting the rest of the lineup. And just watching him on the field, he's playing shortstop like an all-star, and for someone that hasn't been there before, I think he deserves the nod this year over even the great Trey Turner. So that's going to have to be my pick, Warren, is Mookie Betts.
You look at the Los Angeles Dodger melting pot, and you have to feel like the flame is Mookie. He's the one who's cooking it all down, and he is the one who's making the recipe taste oh so good in that fondue. I hate fondue. I don't know why I went this way with the analogy, but good choice. Mookie Betts, his numbers are dominant anyway on this. And what would the All-Star game be without him if he's able to play? Really? Yeah. Great. I like that you took control there, Dan. I love men who take control. I'm going to take it right back because I'm really angry right now. I'm super angry. This is the point in our ballot where I might stand up and say, gosh, I wish I had a third choice. I want an independent candidate here for me to vote for. But first, we'll set the table for you, sir. The National League catchers are on deck for you. We have one of my favorite players to keep mentioning over and over and over again in our talks, the one and only Wilson Contreras. I lie. William Contreras.
There it is.
Hilarious. Because Wilson's still nurturing that poor broken arm that JD Martinez perpetrated upon him in his return to Major League Baseball. But no, William Contreras, what an incredible player. He has been an outstanding aspect to the Milwaukee offense and almost at will taking over their games. 792 OPS. 50 RBI, 9 home runs. Doesn't matter as much. Neither does the 291 average. The heart of Milwaukee baseball is beating in Williams' chest. That's how I feel anyway. But up against, like, year after year, one of the finest catchers in the game. And in Philadelphia, this guy is maybe the greatest of the homegrown heroes. 261 average, not quite as good as Contreras. 7 home runs, not quite as good as Contreras. 20 RBI, 30 shy of Contreras. And a 720 OPS. Is JT Realmuto still your pick for the National League starting catcher at the All-Star game, Dan? I'm curious.
Yeah, not this year, dude. It's finally Contreras' time. He has taken control this year. He has been consistent when he's been on the field, which is most of the season, more than JT, who's only
Right.
missed a little bit of time. And Realmuto still looks good. He still is that veteran catcher that we've come to expect. But Contreras has taken it to another level this year, just one part of a very intricate, very deep Milwaukee offense. And I think it's awesome that Milwaukee might actually have their first representative since Yelich, I think 5 or 6 years ago, Warren. So my pick, and hopefully for the good of baseball, William Contreras will be the starting catcher for the National League.
I think that's the best pick for the National League so far. He's one of my favorite players this year, and I'm rooting for him. Good choice.
It's your turn, dude. Time to narrow down on catcher. It's a tough one, and it looks like we're down to 2 candidates on here. I don't know about any write-ins or anything, but let's see. Let's see who we got. We start off with the Kansas City Royals, Salvador Perez. Seen him on this list a lot. Veteran, having a good year. And then another Baltimore Oriole, Warren. They didn't get enough on here. You mentioned him earlier, Adley Rutschman. Finishes off the list. So pretty tough between the two. Who you going to go for?
Let me read you a slash line, okay? Gonna read you a few slash lines, bud. Okay? Real quick. Here's one. 282, 13 home runs, 49 RBI, 818 OPS. The slash line of one Salvador Perez. Okay? 298, 15 home runs, 55 RBI, 830 OPS. The slash line of an Adley Rutschman. One more. A 202 average. Meh. 14 home runs, 50 RBI, however, and a 678 OPS. Yeah, maybe not the flashiest numbers, but if there's one person who deserves respect that doesn't get it, he plays catcher for Seattle, and it's Cal Raleigh. I know, you guys, statistically, he's a non-factor in this race. I know, you guys, that I make everything about Seattle, and you guys just wish I would stop. But Cal Raleigh is the heart, the pulse, and the beat of anything successful out of Seattle. When you think about the fact that he's behind the plate guiding these pitchers that, enough of the league is aware of that you can't call them smoke and mirrors, right? And he's leading our team in home run and RBI. I just wish that since Seattle's in the lead of a division for a change, I know, maybe not for much longer. Thanks, everybody. I wish that we could at least find some reason to squeeze a Seattle player onto this ballot. I wish it could have been Cal. I want him as my Green Party. Just saying. However,
since I don't, Warren, but there's a Seattle player, Teoscar Hernandez. Oh wait, no, never mind. Sorry.
Oh, I know that you were waiting for that, and I appreciate it. It hurts. It hurts so much. It hurts.
I don't have a Met on here either, Warren. So I'm with you.
Hey, we like Alvarez, don't we? Future all-star player.
Francisco Alvarez didn't get hurt, I'd be making the same plea you're making right now because his numbers would be right there. He deserves it. I'm with you.
Yeah. And at least for me, 14 home run, 50 RBI does put him in the Adley Rutschman conversation, just shy of him. And it does actually eclipse the numbers of Salvador Perez. Hey, and I love Salvi's story. We know he's having a career renaissance year, and I like that storyline a lot. But between the two, I'm going to go with Adley Rutschman and just get this over with. Adley Rutschman has been a big responsible factor for Baltimore's entire change in culture, and with them looking so poised as to be a AL contender for years to come, I think we put respect on that name given the two options this year. Thank you. But, man, I'm praying that next year can be a year for Cal. If he can strike out maybe like the whole team, 20% less, I think he could be here. I think he could be here.
Good goal. Good goal to have for next year. I dig it. Hey, man, good little spiel for him.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I see Rob Manfred taking notes over here. And is that your address he's writing? No, it's fine. Anyway,
Oh,
let's move on. Let's move on to the outfields, Warren. This is exciting. So
that's
for
a
the
fun one.
outfield, we actually have 3 positions that we get to fill. So we already mentioned that Aaron Judge has been locked in. He got the most votes in the American League. So you're going to start it off. You already have 1 vote locked in. You got to choose 2 of the next 4. I want you to give me your 2. You got to choose between the Yankees, Juan Soto, the Astros, Kyle Tucker, the
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland Guardians, Stephen Kwan, and yes,
Mm-hmm.
Warren, another Baltimore Oriole, Anthony Santander. Who's it going to be? Only 2.
Oh, I love variety. I do. With a New York Yankee and Aaron Judge being in the outfield, I'm begging for an excuse to leave Juan Soto out. But
Whoa.
I know. And then I look at his numbers 305, 20 home runs, 60 RBI, and over 1,000 OPS at 1,008 right at the moment. I can't leave that off. So I have to pick Juan Soto, and I'm not ashamed of it. He's got to be in the All-Star game, starting with the numbers he's given us. He's clearly the best of the group that's left. So do it. Kyle Tucker, Stephen Kwan, and Anthony Santander could present a tougher choice, you would think, but I'm actually going to just swipe left on Santander and think that it's really between the other 2 guys. And even though Santander, to his credit, tons of RBI, 55 off of 22 home run. That's a great position for him to be in. He's having a good year. I'm going to go Stephen Kwan, okay? I'm sorry if you were hoping for me to fluff it up even more. I know King Tuck is as good as he is, and I am picking somebody whose numbers don't quite jump off the page, with the exception of an American League batting average that's got to be leading. I mean, he's got to be the front
Yeah.
runner for that batting title. At 371 is Stephen Kwan right now, which means he's doing Arias like stuff. And I like that 1-2 punch in Cleveland so much, and I respect so much of what they've done for their team this year, and they're a huge part of that identity. I'm just going to give it to him. I think that's how I feel. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, he's missed time and to still have some of the numbers that he does, including that batting average. I think that's amazing. So I think that's some great picks for it.
Yeah, I think Kyle Tucker will get his innings and he deserves it. And I'm sure Santander can be forced in somewhere. But I think Kwan, I just want to see him hitting in the Midsummer Classic. That's all. Outfield time for you, and you've got an even tougher challenge than I. You're being met with 6 choices, and only 3 make it to the dance for the Midsummer Classic. These are fun options. And just to make, I don't know, I thought I might power rank my own personal choices, but maybe I won't. There are some personal affiliations in this group. Some people who've been really exciting. All right, let's break it down for you, dude. Russian roulette of National League outfielders, and there's 3 bullets in the chamber. You've got Jerks and Profar. What? Who'd have thought? Jerks and
Yeah.
Profar, 886 on the OPS of 55 RBI, 11 home runs, 314 batting average. Impressive work playing out of San Diego. I've been saying he likes to. Well, he's proving it. Christian Yelich, of course, the left-handed hitter for Milwaukee, always a reliable bat when he's in the lineup. He did have some injury time lost, but has still batted to an 870 OPS, 34 RBI, 7 home runs, 318 average. So no slouch himself. Fernando Tatis Jr., of course, also playing out of San Diego, has an 822 OPS. He's hit 14 home runs for 36 RBI, 279 average, a little lower down that scale, but generally producing an impressive amount of runs. Not quite the 55 from Profar. I will say that again for his RBI. That is shocking. Teoscar Hernandez is where we will go from here. You threw that out there, slipping the knife between my ribs. I can feel me. bleeding out. Yeah, Hernandez, I wish he played like this in Seattle, of course, but he did not get a 792 OPS. He did not have 55 RBI. He did not have 18 home runs or a 250 average at the All-Star break. So, wow, is this the year he returns to All-Star consideration? Here's a fun name, absolutely one I would work hard to work in, because Brandon Marsh has been burgeoning along the lines of Alec Boehm in the infield for Philadelphia. Have you heard of Brandon Marsh, guys? Maybe
Yeah,
not.
Wetbeard the Pirate.
Yeah, the other beard in the National League. Charlie
Yeah.
Blackmon's got some competition. I know there's other beards, guys. Calm down. But dude, Marsh's beard, yeah, he looks soaked all the time. He does that on purpose, excuse me, to stay cool, which makes perfect sense because he's wearing 10 pounds of extra hair. But
Yeah.
this guy's really cool. I watched him play in Salt Lake when he was a B. You can relate to that, my friend who lives out in the Utah area now. And he's batting to a legitimate 761 OPS, 31 RBI, 7 home runs, 264 batting average. He's in the mix, and he's like Alec, doing something every game to win. It really feels that way. I've watched a lot of cool Brandon Marsh moments. But another fun story coming out of the National League outfield scene in this All-Star ballot is Nick Castellanos, who I know we talked about it a lot in the early part of the season, struggled and has found his gas at last to get a little bit more up the scale here. 225 average, a 662 OPS. Those sound like Raleigh numbers. 11 home runs, 39 RBI. Castellanos makes the considerations. Dan, you've got 3 bullets in the chamber. Who are you going to kill?
Yeah, man, they don't make it very easy because we got a lot of good players up here, no doubt about it. But there's a couple I am going to eliminate right off the bat. The first is going to be Castellanos because he's just not consistent enough to have that all-star level for me. Yeah, he's got the RBIs, he has his fair share of homers, but he's not been consistent enough this year. And the small breakouts of power are not going to be enough for me to give him an all-star break. So he's going to have to get crossed off the list pretty much right away. I'm also going to have to cross off Fernando Tatis Jr.
Whoa.
His numbers are quite a bit better, but he is still third to fourth best on his own team, and he's gone through his own share of cold spells throughout this year. It's good to see him playing a full season in the outfield and doing pretty well out there, but he's not going to get an all-star nod for me. Not right now.
Ooh.
So, man, really coming down to it now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lock in 2, and then we're gonna narrow it down. So for sure, 100%, no doubt, Jurickson Profar is an all-star.
Wow, good
Has
for
to be an
you.
all-star. His numbers are unreal. He's getting in so hot right when the Padres need him to, and even when the rest of the team is cold, he's the one who's getting them going. So Profar is going to be locked in. And it's going to be another Milwaukee Brewer war. And Christian Yelich having one of the best years he's had in quite a few. His home run numbers aren't quite where they need to be, but he gets on base. His batting average is excellent. He's playing great outfield defense, as we've come to expect. So he's for sure going to join Profar out there. And then that brings us down to 2, Teoscar Hernandez and Brandon Marsh. Oh, man, it's a tough one. They're both really good players. They both have had their moments this year. I love Brandon Marsh. I've seen a lot of him, and he's been a pretty consistent contributor for this team in the Phillies. But, man, Teoscar is what a turnaround to go from Seattle to LA and then start off slow and then be that presence that they need. It's going to be Teoscar Hernandez, Warren, as a Los Angeles Dodger. He's going to an all-star game. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm just salty. What else could I be? What else
I
could
would
I
be too.
Heck yeah. Let him have it. He's gotten so good. I've stopped the strikeout counter, not permanent. I mean, I'll always bring it up in our chats, but man, he's just played so much better. He's happy there, and that's what matters. And I wish people could be happy in Seattle because I'd like to think I would be. But even I still live in Vegas, so I guess I need to think about that. Cool, bud. Great choices. You had me on the edge of my seat. I think Brandon Marsh is deserving to sit on the bench and take a swing at some point during the game, but starter not, maybe. I get it. Hernandez getting the nod is a cool choice. Only one spot left, and we're determined, of course, to race our way through this content. Let's make sure we end with a bang. Why don't you go first? Because spoiler alert, guys, I can see who the options are, and his are just more fun, okay? They're just more fun.
Yeah, man. So you want me to pick mine first? Is that what you meant?
No, I
Sorry.
want you to
You mean
make
to give it to
me
you?
pick. Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Sorry. I
I
guess I
see.
could have been more specific.
I
You
was like,
go
wait,
first.
which is more exciting? Okay, I
No.
got you. Yeah, so let's set it up here for you. The designated hitter position for the American League. This one's
Yep.
kind of tightly contested. I think there's a lot of good guys who could be up for it here. But the final two we're looking at are the Houston Astros. Yordan Alvarez. Been having a year, Warren. He's got a 294 batting average. He's up to 16 home runs, 41 RBIs, and an 891 OPS. Leader on that team. And then you won't be surprised, another Baltimore Oriole. That's right. This time it's Ryan O'Hearn.
Another rookie.
Yeah, to the tune of a 285 batting average, 10 home runs, 34 RBIs, and an 808 OPS. Warren, this is a tough one. I know what your team allegiances are, but two talented players. Which one is going to get the nod from you?
I'm going to tell you who it is right here, right now, and it is Yordan Alvarez. Because
Wow.
as much as you guys are like, Warren, I thought you have high integrity. I thought you fire truck the Astros. I fire truck most especially the 2017 Astros. And Altuve was front and center and part of the problem. Yordan, he's like in his fourth year of play, and he wasn't part of that disastrous and cheating squad. So I will postpone the fire truck. I will allow an Astro to take center stage, but at the same time, he's totally earned it in this matchup. He's mashing, and he's a big part of why Houston is resurging. Surprise, friggin' surprise. So, yeah, Yordan all the way. Let him have it.
Good
I'm
pick.
sure. Yeah, I was gonna say you can't.
Yeah, I mean, O'Hearn's been impressive, but Alvarez has earned it for sure.
I can't imagine how many of our viewers would be like, okay, this guy literally doesn't have any credibility if I'd gone with Ryan O'Hearn. I'm just saying. I know you wouldn't have. So, all right, buddy, your two picks to take home the designated hitter starting position and, try to drive his team's offense forward at the Midsummer Classic, the All-Star game coming up oh so shortly. For the National League, we have from Philadelphia, the recently injured, but still extremely fun to watch. Surprisingly speedy this year, as we've noticed. An 820 OPS, 49 RBI, 17 home runs, 250 average, Kyle Schwarber. Man, I do appreciate what he can do clubbing baseballs out of the park in digital fashion on MLB The Show. That's what I have to connect me to him. But for you, for his competition, I should say, how can you vote against Shohei Ohtani? I don't know if you can, especially when you look at the numbers here. 321 average, 26 home runs, 62 RBI, the most on this page, come to think of it. No, almost. Alec Boehm's got 68. Think about that for a second, guys. Alec Boehm is maybe the most RBI on this page. That is intense. But Ohtani's got 62, and he's got a 1050 OPS. He's out of his mind. He's one of a kind. He's probably an MVP candidate for the rest of his life, even after he retires. Just give it to Shohei. Is he an all-star, Dan? First ballot? You tell me.
Yeah, he has to be, right? I mean, it's not even a question. Like, it's funny looking at the American League designated hitter matchup. I was like, oh, it's cool to see these guys here. And then I realized why we haven't for so long. It's because that was Ohtani's spot for the last how many years. So now it's going to be his spot in the National League. So yes, Warren, absolutely. Kudos to Schwarber, but it has to be Shohei Ohtani for his unreal start to a season with the Dodgers.
And there's no denying that. Absolutely. No way. Got to have Shohei Ohtani play in Dodger Blue, All-Star game for sure. Can't go the other way. Dan, we did such a good job speeding through content for a change that I'm almost daring myself. I wonder, Dan, can I ask you a question? Are you okay with that?
Sure.
All right, let's see how it goes. Your 3 names you wish were at least considered in this page, okay? Your 3 names. I gave my 1. I don't need more. You give me 3 that you think could be here.
Sure,
And
man.
let's
Well, I mentioned Francisco Alvarez, so I'll put him out there again for catcher position.
Okay.
Gotta say, Marcell Ozuna is being robbed by not being even mentioned on this list. The
Yeah.
entire Braves offense runs through Marcell Ozuna, so he deserves to be
Mm.
here, but kind of punched out of that DH position by Shohei and even Schwarber, unfortunately.
And Dan, now that you mention it, actually, the entire Atlanta Braves have been knocked out of this ballot. That's kind of shocking, if you ask me.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, not another one really pops into my head immediately to stand out enough, but you're right. Overall, they haven't been impressive enough to really earn it. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's 2. If I had to give you a third one, Warren, man, it's kind of tough. I suppose I would say that Anthony Volpe has had a great season at shortstop and is just
Ooh.
being outshined by Witten Henderson, like obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
he besides Judge and Soto, Volpe's really been one of the strongest bats consistently in the Yankees lineup. So shame that he doesn't get a nod.
No, since you went ahead and gave a Yankee a highlight there, I'm gonna go ahead and slide at you. Maybe I got one more that I was rooting for to be on this list that did fall off the last vote, but give it up for the defensive outfielder Alex Verdugo in Yankee pinstripes. He's been, Gold Glove status with his defensive capabilities this year. Maybe not
Yep.
contributing a ton on the offense, but he was getting enough recognition up to this point that I was rooting for him. So. Guys, I know you're rooting for us to actually end a show before an hour mark for a change, so we're going to do just that. This has been our All-Star Game ballot breakdown. We've cast our final votes. Got a good-looking group of All-Stars. Will they play well on the field to match what our expectations? No doubt. The Midsummer Classic is coming from Arlington this year. Be sure to tune in. It is just a few short weeks away. And thank you guys for tuning in to our interpretation of what that could look like here on Covering Our Bases. And Dan, anything for our fans before we remind them they can email us at coveringourbases@gmail.com and to shoot us a like, a share, and a subscribe?
Hey, we got our ballot up on the screen here. Everybody has a chance to go fill out their own ballot and place their vote for who can be the All-Star Game. And hopefully we're right, Warren. And if we're not, these are the players that should have been in the All-Star Game.
Yeah. Oh, man. And it probably in like a couple of days, all of our votes will be named as replacements anyway because, we always break news just a little too... Well, we're always the precursor of broken news. But anyway, guys, I ramble too much. Let's end the show. You all have a fantastic All-Star weekend. When you get there, cast your ballots, have some fun. Gotta love baseball. And we'll see you guys next time we take a trip around the bases.